Not that long ago, you'd have needed a helicopter to get shots like these. And even with a helicopter, it'd be pretty hard to get permission to shoot aerials so close to the ground. That's all changed with the advent of consumer drones, and they've opened up a new world of photography. Even amateurs can get amazing results almost straight out of the box. People often comment on how stable the pictures can be. That's because most drones have a 3-axis gimbal, which moves the camera to compensate for any wobbliness with the drone. In this shot, a drone is flying right next to a tripod with a camera on top. From the tripod camera, you can see that the drone is moving around quite a lot. But when you look at the video from the drone, the background is really steady. Even though the tripod and its camera are not, that's the power of the gimbal. And all of this tech is crammed into a very small flying machine. This drone is only 249 grams, very light. But the lighter you make the drone, the less power you need to actually keep it in the air and move it forward, less wind resistance, all that sort of stuff. Because you need less power, you need less battery. So you have a lighter weight battery, which in turn makes the drone lighter, which means you can do the whole exercise over and over again. So it is pretty clever the way it makes you wonder just how small these things are ultimately going to become. This drone has a flight range of 30 minutes, which is just extraordinary. That much flying time gives you the confidence to experiment and practice, and you'll need to if you want to do more than simple flying. For example, a simple orbit around an object is a lot harder than you might think. You need to fly the drone sideways, while at the same time slowly turning it, so the camera keeps pointing at the target. Of course, you need to watch the viewfinder in order to keep the target in shot, but at the same time, you also need to keep an eye on the drone, because the camera isn't looking at where it's actually flying. Fortunately, this particular drone comes with presets.
2, 1.
So it can do a number of standard moves automatically. How cool is that, hey? Really makes flying these things a lot easier than the olden days. Another very nice preset is the spiral. It's like an aerial selfie. Some drones have sensors to avoid collisions when shooting shots like this, but my drone doesn't, so I have to be careful. Whoa, I'm going so close to that tree. Back to where we started. The thing about these drones, which is kind of really interesting, is the way they just hover if you do nothing. It's a really useful kind of characteristic, because there's plenty of times where you're just not quite sure where you are, you've lost your bearings, and it just gives you a chance to kind of look at the controls on the screen and think about what you're going to do next. I mean, of course, this thing's also got a return to home button, which means if it's lost, it will come back to where it took off from, as long as it doesn't hit any objects like trees and stuff between you and where it is. But it is pretty cool. You can program this drone so that when it is automatically returned to home, it'll fly above a preset altitude, hopefully high enough to go above any obstacles in the way. But you still need to be careful when you fly. And of course, always be mindful of the local rules about drones. But to get really interesting bird's eye views, you don't have to fly very high or very far. It's little wonder that consumer drones have become so very popular.